Okay, so welcome to our virtual open house for Northern Lakes College and specifically the Social Work Diploma Program. My name is Denise Smith and I am the coordinator for the Social Work Diploma Program at Northern Lakes College. And so my goal today for the next 20 minutes or so is to talk a little bit about, of course, our program and what that entails. But also I do want to talk a little bit about social work or a social worker, or what does that mean in terms of being a social worker in the province of Alberta. So it's not a lot of time to talk about something I'm so passionate about. So I'm going to do my best to go through a little bit of material for the next 20 minutes, and then I typically leave some 10 minutes or so at the end so that you can ask me any questions that you might have. So I say that, but I always run over my time and talk too much. So if you have questions as well as I'm talking, please feel free to raise your hand, put your microphone on, or of course use the chat box, and I'm happy to respond to those ways. So welcome and thank you for being here. Let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about what social work is. Because embarking on entering into a diploma, going back to school, for some people, we find our students have been out of school for a little while. Other people are coming straight in from high school. We get quite a mix in terms of our students. But we like to talk about social work in terms of, is this a good career choice for people to start their journey, their education towards social work? So I do want to talk a little bit about what does that mean when we talk about social work, and what do social workers do? And I asked that question, or I put that out there for people to think about, because people's perception about what social workers do vary. And so what that means is some people have different kind of perceptions in terms of, what do social workers do? What does it mean to be a social worker? And so I found this picture because I think it kind of demonstrates some of the different things, different perceptions that people have in terms of what social workers do. So some people think that social workers sitting on the desk with their feet up and having lots of downtime in their job, and it's all very relaxed. And some people's perception about social work is, do they work really hard, or what do they do? And I'm just kind of not even sure what that means, what people do. What my mom thinks I do. A lot of people have this perception about social work meaning working in different countries, for instance, or working with different cultures, for instance, which is true. Those are one of the things, or one of the populations that social workers work. They work in different countries. And in fact, there's this whole body called the International Confederation of Social Workers, and it is for people that work at that international level. What my clients think I do, I have this picture of a person, a person with pulling a rabbit out of their hat, this magic that happens. And sometimes clients, people that we work with, they do feel that social workers come in and perform this magic, and things change, and they have this perception about us being having these powers of being able to do that. what I really do, the bottom picture, I thought was kind of funny. Somebody snowed in with all this paperwork and these files, and I kind of laugh when I look at that because um, social work can be a very diverse and busy and exciting job. Uh, with a lot of our jobs, we do find that there is paperwork. There is documentation that comes with the job for some of those jobs. And some people will talk about the busyness in some positions being a social worker. So when we look at these different perceptions, I kind of feel that there might be some truths in a lot of them. But let's pick this apart a little bit with a definition about what is social work, because I think this gets more to the core in terms of what is social work. So this comes from the Canadian Association of Social Workers, and it says that social work is a profession, which is a really important word I'm going to come back to. It's a profession concerned with helping people. So helping individuals, helping and working with families, with groups, with communities to enhance people's collective well-being. So the aim around social work is really to help people to develop their own skills and their own ability to use their own resources and resources in the community to help with the struggles or the challenges that they're facing. And so social work is concerned generally with individual and personal problems, but also social work means, this comes from our hearts, that we're concerned with bigger social issues. So social workers, you'll often hear them talking about different issues in communities or at the social level. So whether that's about poverty, whether that's about domestic violence, whether that's about unemployment rates, for instance. So social workers tend to work at different levels and with different groups and different populations. And so we'll see that, talk a little bit about potential job opportunities in a few minutes, but we see that social workers work with people at that micro level, with individuals, as well as with communities, as well as that bigger kind of social social construct. So different levels that social workers can work in, as well as with different populations, so different types of people, and with different kind of issues. So I thought it'd be pertinent to talk about our code of ethics. And so the Canadian Association of Social Workers has a code of ethics. And what that does is it helps guide social workers in terms of their practice. So when I talked about, I'm going to flip back, when I talked about social work being a profession, one of the things about being in a profession is that we're guided by certain values and ethics and our code of ethics in our profession. So our code of ethics as social workers, we have 6 core values. One is about respecting the dignity, the worthiness of individuals, of people. One is about the pursuit of social justice, service to humanity. One of our code of ethics when we're working as a social worker is about professional practice and about the integrity of professional practice. One of our code of ethics that guides what we do is about confidentiality. And the last core value with our code of ethics is about competency. in terms of being a social worker, in terms of practice, in terms of what we do for work, in terms of how we do our jobs. And part of being competent in terms of in a profession is about belonging to our social work profession in the province of Alberta. Our profession is linked up with, it's called the ACSW. It's the Alberta College of Social Workers. I bring this up because to work as a social worker in the province of Alberta, you must be registered with the Alberta College of Social Workers, because that ties into all that competency and integrity. And so to be able to work as a social worker, to register with the Alberta College of Social Workers, you have to have a certain academic standard. So what that means is you have to have the academics to be able to register with the Alberta College of Social Workers. Northern Lakes College is accredited with the Alberta College of Social Workers, meaning that our students that graduate from our program are eligible to register with the Alberta College of Social Workers, which means they can go out and work as a social worker. And so it's very, very important, because I recall somebody had asked me about a credential they had, but they couldn't register with the ACSW, meaning they couldn't work in Alberta. So thankfully, Northern Lakes College and our social work diploma is accredited, meaning our graduates can work in Alberta as a social worker. We also have a transfer agreement with the University of Calgary. And what that means is sometimes students do our two-year diploma course at Northern Lakes College, and they complete that. And then they think, oh, I think I want to do the Bachelor of Social Work, say at the University of Calgary, which is a degree course. So the difference being is the diploma course is a two-year course we offer. The degree course at the University of Calgary, for instance, is a four-year degree course. So we have an agreement with the University of Calgary that if they accept our students go into the third year of the university, the BSW course. So they accept the full 2 years from the diploma. So you get credit for the 2 years that you do at Northern Lakes College. So it's really great that way for people that if they choose to further their education at the university level. People are always interested, of course, in terms of wage expectation, as well as what kind of jobs you can get as a social worker. So I did pull this off the job bank from the government of Alberta last month and looked at the wage that, expectation around social workers. And it was between $21.82 to just a little over $49 an hour. Now, of course, that depends on who you're employed by, the location. There would be differences in terms of worker qualification. So generally speaking, I'm going to say generally, I suppose, the higher level of education that you have, typically you're financially rewarded at a higher level, generally speaking. But again, it depends on the person, their employer, where they're working at, their experience, that sort of thing. So when we think about employment, it's one of the things that drew me to social work. It's about the diversity of social work. So there are many, 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 many places that we find social workers working. And I loved that many years ago when I thought about, what do I want to do for a living? Because I knew I wanted to be in the helping field. I just kind of wasn't sure where. And when I thought about social work, I thought, wow, there's so many different opportunities. And there's opportunities, if we go back to our definition, of working individually with people, or with working with groups of people, or working with families, or working in communities. There's this whole social work area. It's called community development. So working specifically with communities. So employment is varied. We see social workers working in child and family support agencies, financial support settings. We see a lot of social workers employed in the addiction agencies, in the addiction field, schools, early intervention programs, mental health agencies, First Nation organizations, Métis settlements, for-profit, non-for-profit. So lots of different places that we do find social workers, and working with lots of different populations. And so, for instance, perhaps people are interested in working with homeless populations. So we find social workers working in those areas, or working with youth, for instance. So my background is I worked with youth for many, many years that were struggling with their involvement with the law. I worked with the criminal justice system. So it really is an area that there's many, many different places that people can find jobs. Just going to take a breath. I'm going to talk about our program a little bit. I'm just keeping an eye on the time as well. Our program is delivered, it's called a blended delivery. And what that means is all of our classes are offered online. So what that means is students from across the province take our program from the comfort of their own home, which is really great. It really allows a lot of diversity in the classroom. There are a couple of days throughout the year that we have lab days where we bring all of our students together. We do that once in the first year of the program and once in the second year of the program. So there are a couple of days where we all meet face to face for our lab days. And of course, we have practicums in our program. So we have one in the first year of the program, one in the second year of the program, and those are, we consider face-to-face. So the practicums are not online. So our compilation of the classes, it is a 2-year program doing it full-time. We do have flexibility in terms of students can do a part-time complement, which would be within a 3-year time frame. But one of those years is full-time. And it's just the way our classes are structured, and there's prerequisites for some of the courses and that sort of thing. So 2 years at a full-time, 3 years part-time. There's 13 social work courses, and then the rest of the courses are what we call university studies courses. So those are things like English, psychology, sociology, health education, for instance. So there's the social work courses, there's the university studies courses, and there's 2 practicums within the program. The practicums need to be completed in a full-time complement as well. So they're Monday to Friday all day course. They're considered a course, and those happen in the spring. So how it works in terms of attendance at classes, because this is a question we get asked quite a bit, is do I need to attend because they're online? And the answer is yes and no. So the social work courses, although they're online and you attend them from home, there's mandatory attendance. So what that means is we expect students to attend those classes and to be those classes when they're scheduled. The university studies courses, those English, psychology, sociology, they don't have mandatory attendance. So what that means is there are live classes, you can attend them online, but you don't need to. So if you choose not to attend those classes online, they're all recorded and you can listen to the recording instead of attending the classes. And so again, the social work classes, the expectation is that students are there and there for every class. The university studies classes, a little bit more flexibility, and students can listen to recordings. And so we do this because we know that people are really busy, and we do try to be as flexible as we can to meet student needs in terms of other things that they're juggling in their lives and busyness and that sorts of things. We are accepting applications for our program, and you can find the application process at the Northern Lakes College online. There's certain admission criteria, and they're listed on the website. We work on a first qualified, first accepted basis. I will be very transparent and say that we're a somewhat of a popular program the last several years, and I believe that we are full for our September start. And I don't want to discourage you, because what happens is people, sometimes they apply really early because that works for them at that point. But then when it gets closer to the start date, they give up their seat because things may have changed or they've changed their minds. So what we do is we generate a wait list. And so as seats come open, then we go to our wait list and start offering those seats. I just want to mention really quickly, because we talked about an online program, and I don't want you to leave thinking, oh, I have to be all alone in my house and just do this all alone. And that's not how we run our program. There's lots of supports for our students. We find that our students get to know their instructors quite well because there's lots of contact with their instructors, as well as there's things like academic supports. So we have a tutor, for instance, at our college that can support students with their academics. We have financial supports. We have awards and bursaries throughout the year. We have a fantastic online library. We have a few physical libraries as well. We offer counseling services to students as well, and they do lots of different things in terms of career counseling and wellness check-ins and those sorts of things. So we do have, even though we're an online program, we do have lots of supports for people. We don't want our students to feel that they're kind of out there and on their own. That's not at all how we run our programs. So I'm going to open it up to questions just after this one last slide. As I said, I'm the coordinator of the program, and my contact information is there. And feel free to write that down. And you can call me, you can email me if you have more questions about the program. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. As stated, we have an application process online. So you can certainly go to our Northern Lakes College website. Google social work, it'll take you to our homepage. There's lots of information there on tuition and fees and how many courses and which courses, and lots of information online for you. As well as Jennifer Ellison is our admission specialist. So I put her name up there because she's a great contact if you have any questions surrounding how to apply, or if you just need some support doing that. So I see a few people have left, so hopefully they've gotten the information that they came looking for. But I do just want to open it up a little bit for the last 5 minutes, last few minutes, if you had any questions for me. I'm just going to make sure I look at my chat box. I don't see anything. Okay. Then thank you very much for coming. I do appreciate you being here and your attention. And like I said, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Oh, I see in the chat box, is there a big demand for this field of work in our area? So do you mean your community by your area? I know you're typing, so I'll give you a minute. Slave Lake and surrounding. Oh, okay. So you're from Slave Lake and surrounding area. Yeah, you know, I will say that I know this because we place practicum students in Slave Lake and the surrounding areas. And I know that there's a lot of agencies that hire social workers. And I know there's a lot of agencies that do some really great work in the field. Yeah. Does that help? It's a little vague, but yeah, okay, great. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go then. Like I said, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. And any questions, feel free to check the website or reach out to us. Okay, good night.